The room wasn't quiet. Questions were flying from every direction. One reporter asked about the foul, another jumped to the scoreboard. Someone suddenly brought up the commissioner's cup, like nothing serious had just happened.
WNBA history from last night. Breanna Stewart balled out as the Seattle Storm beat the Connecticut Sun in the WNBA's inaugural Commissioner's Cup.
Voices overlapped. Answers were cut short. And right in the middle of that noise, one name kept hanging in the air. Sophie Cunningham. No clear explanation, no clean answer. Just fragments. A flagrant call here, a suspension there, and then silence from the league. Cameras kept rolling, but something felt off. This wasn't just about a single play or one heated moment on the court. A teammate was gone. A message was sent. And Caitlin Clark? She didn't say much, but her reaction told a different story. Was this really about basketball, or was something being handled behind closed doors? Stay with us because what comes next reveals a truth many are avoiding. The moment that shifted everything. The play itself didn't look historic at first glance. Fast. Breaks. Players darting across the court. Sweat dripping, sneakers squeaking, fans holding their breath. The energy was electric, but normal for a high-stakes WNBA game. Sophie Cunningham, calm yet fierce, positioned herself where she always had a wall between her teammates and danger. Physical, protective, unapologetic. That had been her signature move for years. Her teammates trusted her instinctively. Opponents knew to tread carefully. Sophie wasn't reckless, but she never backed down either. Then the whistle blew, a sharp, sudden sound that seemed louder than normal. Time slowed for a moment. Cameras zoomed in. The crowd murmured. And then everything shifted. Reviews began instantly. Officials whispered behind closed doors.
The foul, I love her toughness.
And now they want to review it.
They want a double technical or a...
I see the review signal.
Players glanced at each other, confused. Fans leaned forward in anticipation, trying to figure out what had triggered such rapid decisions. Nobody was expecting what came next. Before anyone could fully comprehend it, the announcement was made. Sophie Cunningham was no longer in the game. Not a foul, not a warning, not a temporary suspension. Gone. Removed. The court felt emptier instantly. One moment she had been fiercely defending her teammate, making sure every inch of space was protected. The next, she had vanished from the lineup. For viewers at home, the shock wasn't in the call itself. It was in how fast it happened. The abruptness left questions dangling, unanswered, hanging over the arena like smoke. WNBA fans are used to physicality. Hard screens, elbows that fly just on the edge of legality, emotional reactions that flare during tense moments, all part of the sport. Yet this wasn't just another rough play. Something about the decision felt off. Perhaps it was the timing, perhaps it was the context. Sophie wasn't reckless. She had not crossed a line she hadn't crossed countless times before, but this time the consequences were different. Inside the arena, murmurs turned into whispers. Commentators tried to make sense of it in real time, their voices overlapping. Some focused on the game stats. Others tried to read the body language of Caitlin Clark, who had been standing nearby. The rookie star's eyes flickered toward where Sophie had been moments ago.
Cunningham is upset. Cunningham has her second personal, and she might pick up a technical foul if she's not careful.
A tight jaw, a pause, a small exhale. That quiet moment carried more weight than any words could. Observers began to sense that this wasn't just about one play. It was about the larger story unfolding loyalty, trust, power, and the subtle politics of a league under scrutiny. And indeed, the larger story was there. This season had already been tense. Every game seemed magnified, every decision analyzed. A league trying to grow, yet still under a microscope. Ratings climbing, arenas filling faster than ever, cameras trained on every dribble and pass. And in the midst of it all, Caitlin Clark had become a phenomenon. Wherever she played, records were broken. Crowds roared, social media lit up with highlights, memes, and heated discussions. Attention followed her like a shadow, and suddenly every play involving her and her teammates carried extra weight. Sophie Cunningham's removal landed in the middle of the storm, It wasn't just a referee's decision, it felt like a statement. Timing in sports can change perception completely. The speed and decisiveness of the action amplified emotions. Shock turned into anger for some fans, into confusion for others, and a quiet, simmering concern for the players themselves. Suddenly, the dynamics on the court shifted. Every possession, every play, every pass felt heavier. Caitlin Clark, focused on her game, had to process not only the physical challenge of the match, but also the absence of the teammate who had always been there to back her up. Trust is invisible, but its absence can be felt instantly. It was about the timing of power, the fragility of trust, and the pressures that come when a team's world intersects with the public spotlight. In professional sports, timing is everything. And in this instance, timing didn't just influence a single game. It shifted the conversation around loyalty, fairness, and leadership.
I mean, I think over the course of my career, and obviously you always want to become a better leader.
A moment that reminded everyone watching, fans, players, and league officials alike, that even in fast-paced games, the smallest decision at the right moment can echo far beyond the final buzzer. Sophie Cunningham's role that people ignore. To understand why the reactions were so intense, you first have to understand Sophie Cunningham herself. She has never been the quiet type, never the player who blends into the background or waits for someone else to make the moves. Sophie brings more than points to the board. Her value is not measured in statistics alone. It is measured in edge, energy, and protection, the kind of presence that makes her teammates feel safer and more confident on the court. She steps in where others hesitate, takes the pressure head on, and gives her all, even when it is unnoticed or unappreciated by the wider audience. Every team has at least one player like this. The one who stands in the path when things get rough. The one who absorbs the heat so that the stars, the scorers, the playmakers can shine without fear. That is the kind of player Sophie has always been. She takes hits, physical and mental, and keeps moving forward. She does it because she understands the game, because she understands loyalty, and because she knows the team comes before personal glory. When Caitlin Clark entered the league, the dynamics changed almost immediately. Suddenly, arenas were louder, cameras were following her, and every game carried more weight. Attention increased, and with it, pressure. Defenders became sharper. Fouls were harder. Physical contact increased, and in some cases it teetered on the edge of unfair. It was fast, it was intense, and it tested every player on the floor. Sophie noticed it. Her teammates noticed it. Everyone who knew basketball at that level could see it, even if casual fans did not. And then came the moment when Sophie reacted. She did what she had always done. She defended, she protected, she intervened.
At the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player, so it's all good.
But this time, fans and critics saw it differently. Some labeled it recklessness. Some called it aggression. Few understood the context behind her actions. For those who follow the season closely, the story was simple. This was not recklessness. This was loyalty. Loyalty like that is usually celebrated in sports, recognized as the glue that holds teams together. Yet in this instance, it was met with punishment instead. That response from the league puzzled and frustrated many. Why would behavior that had always been part of the game suddenly become unacceptable? Sophie had been playing hard, defending teammates and maintaining her energy and edge for years without incident. And now, just as Caitlin Clark rose to stardom, the same type of physical and protective play was called into question. The timing made the situation even more striking. Everything about this moment was magnified. The league itself was under a microscope. Attention from media and fans was more intense than ever, and Sophie's actions collided with a climate that was already charged. What might have been overlooked in a quieter season became a headline. A decision that might have passed unnoticed in another era now felt explosive. And so the question became simple yet impossible to ignore. Why now? Why did the league choose this moment to step in, to correct something that had existed for years? Fans, analysts, and players alike were left wondering if this was about rules, optics, or an effort to control attention. Whatever the reason, the answer is complicated, And it reflects not just on Sophie Cunningham, but on the way the league handles loyalty, protection, and the players who carry that weight every night. Sophie's role has always been clear to those who watch closely, but the story behind it is often ignored by the wider world. Understanding her importance helps explain why the reaction was so intense and why fans and teammates alike were left questioning the league's decision. She is not just a player. She is a presence, a protector, and a force that has quietly shaped games for years.
The WNBA, in my personal opinion, is that not only will you be good at basketball, but you also, some of these women will look like women.
And now suddenly, that force was being questioned, and the timing could not have been more significant. Caitlin Clark's reaction said more than words. Caitlin Clark didn't explode in that moment. There was no shouting, no pointing fingers, no angry quote that could be pulled for headlines. She didn't turn the situation into a public fight. Instead, she did what she had done all season long. She showed up. She played the game. She stayed professional. On the surface, everything looked calm. But when you paid closer attention, the frustration was hard to miss. It showed up in small ways. Her answers after the game became shorter, more careful. She paused longer before responding, choosing her words with extra caution. When questions drifted toward Sophie Cunningham, her eyes dropped, or she shifted in her seat. This wasn't confusion. She knew exactly what had happened. What came through was disappointment. That feeling didn't come from nowhere. All season, Caitlin had been dealing with constant pressure. Defenders stayed glued to her. Hands reached in. Bodies bumped her off balance. Hard fouls piled up. Every night brought a new challenge, and every night came with eyes watching closely. Yet she kept moving forward without complaint. She got up after hits. She ran back on defense. She stayed locked in. That kind of endurance takes more than skill. It takes trust. Trust that the game is fair. Trust that the league has your back. Trust that your teammates are allowed to protect you when things cross a line. When Sophie Cunningham stepped in, that trust felt solid. It felt like someone was willing to take on the risk so Caitlin could keep doing her job. And then suddenly that support was gone. That changes things. Not in a way you can measure on a stat sheet, but in a way players feel deeply. Emotional safety matters just as much as physical safety. Knowing someone is willing to stand with you matters. When that layer disappears, it forces a player to adjust mentally. Caitlin didn't react loudly to that shift. She didn't need to. Instead, the weight settled in. Her focus became heavier, her expressions more guarded. It was clear she was processing more than just the next opponent. She was thinking about the environment she was playing in and what it meant moving forward. Stars often carry anger quietly. They don't always show it in dramatic ways. Sometimes it becomes resolve. Sometimes it becomes distance. Sometimes it becomes a long pause before answering a simple question. That's what made Caitlin's reaction so powerful. It wasn't a scene. It was a signal.
Caitlin going over to Sophie Cunningham saying, "I'm sorry I didn't hit a bomb for you."
I know, I'm falling so much.
Because anger doesn't always shout. Sometimes it settles in silence. The WNBA's difficult balance, right? Now, the WNBA is in a complicated position. On one hand, the league is growing faster than ever. Ratings are climbing, arenas are filling up, jerseys fly off the shelves almost as soon as they're released. Social media buzz surrounds every game. Caitlin Clark's arrival didn't create all of this, but it certainly made the momentum impossible to ignore. Her talent, her presence, and her ability to draw attention amplified what had already been building for years. Suddenly, even casual fans were tuning in. Networks were adjusting schedules. Advertisers noticed. Everything was moving faster than anyone could have imagined. But there's another side to this story. Growth brings attention, and attention brings scrutiny. The league now feels pressure to maintain control. Image matters more than ever. Officials, coaches, and league leaders are under the microscope. Every decision is examined. Every comment can be amplified. Rules have to be enforced carefully, and players are expected to present a polished front. There's little room for mistakes, even in the heat of a live game. Every choice sends a signal. Every action is interpreted. Discipline isn't just discipline anymore, it's a statement. Silence isn't just silence, it's a message. When Sophie Cunningham was removed so quickly, The WNBA likely thought it was protecting its image. A decision like that might make sense from a management perspective. It looks tidy on paper. But for many fans and observers, it felt different. It didn't feel fair. It didn't feel justified. Instead of protecting trust or ensuring safety, it looked like the league was prioritizing optics over context, order over loyalty. The timing made it seem even more deliberate. That kind of decision has consequences. It creates distance between players and leadership. It sends a message that even loyalty, protection, and teamwork can be overruled for the sake of appearance. Fans notice it too.
I mean, they always exceeded. I mean, they were amazing and just really thankful to be able to come back here and appreciate this place and these fans.
They feel it when they're favorite. Players are punished for acting in the best interests of the team. They start questioning whether the league is more concerned with its image than with fairness, passion, and competition. Growth in sports doesn't come only from the talent of its stars. Growth comes from culture. Culture comes from trust, from support, from knowing that players are protected when they do the right thing. And culture can't survive if players feel exposed, unsupported, or second-guessed for the choices they make on the court. Right now, the WNBA is walking a tightrope, balancing rapid growth with control, image with authenticity, rules with loyalty. It's a delicate act. And how the league navigates this moment could shape not just the rest of the season, but the future of women's basketball as a whole. What this moment really means going forward. This isn't just about one game. It's not about a single call, a single foul, or even a single player. At first glance, that moment might seem like just another highlight or lowlight in the WNBA season. But look closer, and it becomes clear that this is about something far bigger. It's about precedent. It's about how a league responds when pressure builds, when emotions run high, and when the stakes are larger than the court itself. Players are paying attention. Every pass, every reaction, every decision is being noticed. Future stars, those who will one day carry the league forward, are learning silently from what they see. They're watching to see what happens when someone protects a teammate. They're watching to see if loyalty is rewarded or punished. When the rules are enforced inconsistently, it sends a message. And messages like that stick. Will teammates hesitate the next time someone steps up? Will they think twice before acting to protect a friend on the court? Will stars feel the weight of pressure with the knowledge that the league may not always have their back? These questions don't belong just to Caitlin Clark or Sophie Cunningham. They belong to every player who hopes to thrive in a professional environment where fairness and trust matter. Caitlin Clark represents more than scoring records or highlight reels.
Cunningham is down behind the play, but they've got Caitlin Clark to fire away from three.
She represents a new era in the league, not just in talent, but in attention. With more eyes watching, more cameras recording, and more fans analyzing every move, the stakes are higher than ever. How the WNBA chooses to handle moments like this will shape how this era unfolds. It will define the expectations for conduct, for protection, and for support. It will define how stars feel about stepping into the league, knowing what they might face if they take risks or defend their teammates. Fans, too, are part of this story. They don't just connect to statistics or flashy plays. They connect to the stories behind the highlights. They connect to loyalty, to fairness, to integrity. And right now, many feel that something important has been mishandled. The decision to remove Sophie Cunningham so quickly may have left an impression that the league values image over support, rules over context, optics over loyalty. That feeling lingers in the minds of viewers, fueling conversation, debate, and concern. The season will continue. Scores will change. Wins and losses will pile up. But this moment, this decision, this reaction, this clash between players and league authority will stay. It will be remembered. It will influence the way players approach the court in the coming months. It will influence how fans interpret the league. And it may very well influence the way the WNBA is shaped for years to come. Some moments fade quickly, absorbed into the rhythm of a season. Others leave a mark that can't be erased. This is one of the latter. The question isn't only about what happened, it's about what it signals for the future, for loyalty, for trust, and for the next generation of players who are already watching closely.
Super scary just for the future of the WNBA. Missing games, missing a season would be so detrimental to the future of the league.
Moments like these don't fade quickly. They settle into memory. They resurface later when trust is tested again. Caitlin Clark will keep playing. She'll keep drawing crowds. She'll keep carrying expectations few rookies ever face. But the way this situation unfolded leaves a mark not just on her, but on the league itself. Sophie Cunningham's absence wasn't just a roster move, it was a signal. And signals matter in professional sports more than statements ever do. The WNBA stands at a turning point. Growth is here, attention is here, but so is scrutiny. Every decision now shapes how this league is seen, not just today, but years from now. The question isn't whether rules should exist. Of course they should. The question is whether fairness and context can exist alongside them, because stars come and go. But trust once lost is hard to rebuild. And as fans, we're left watching closely, not just the scoreboard, but the choices made behind it.